Hey folks, Matt Rabbit here, back at Medieval Minecraft. I wanted to come back with a special episode. This is it! I mean, basically the map is done. I guess as far as the actual landscape setup is going. As you can see here, a picture of World Paint. Like I said in the past several episodes now, I've been working on making the world in World Paint. This is it. This is basically the kind of a pulled out view. You don't see all of it though, but I'm going to do a tour today of the whole thing. Okay, so I want to show you guys a couple more pictures also. The rendering time on it was also pretty steep. It was about 2.5 hours, you can see here. Um, I really couldn't do much in that with the computer at that time either. And this is like one of the largest mountains on the in the map. I'm going to probably be showing you some of these areas, most of these areas. I kind of do a flyover tour. Basically all of it. It took several hours to do the actual flyover stuff, but I'm going to kind of condense it down to a short amount of time. This will be the elf area. This is sort of a new area. Kind of this is where the evil landscape will be. It's kind of desolate, all stone, and then those purple things are supposed to be crevices, but the crevice tool didn't work out too well. That was the original map. You may have seen several episodes ago where I showed it. But basically, I had to squish the whole thing. Kind of from north south, had to get squished down, and some things got moved around, changed. Um, it's unfortunate, but it's just stuff you have to do. So I'm gonna leave my coordinates on here, so you kind of, well, you're not gonna really understand where I am anyway. But I sort of had to have it on so I knew where I was going. Otherwise, I get really lost, and I did get lost quite a few times. Unfortunately, when I'm recording and trying to fly over for tours, it's kind of difficult because the landscape does not want to render in real well. Um, but it should blend in on the outside edges of this map because I think I got like 2,000 blocks all directions of ocean and stuff. So I moved the spawn point down to where I said I had those twin cities. I think I forget the names of them, Pentheus and Paragon or something like that. And I think one of them's there, but I ended up moving it after this is done because I've already started doing some work on it. I moved it to where the city of Omen is going to be, which is going to probably be the start off point anyway. Um, so as you see here, these are some of the smaller mountains. Just working with that tool, and they're sort of different looking compared to some of those bigger ones you'll see a little bit later. And this here I think is the city of Bard, which I may actually have to move and do some landscape work on in this area, but I'm mostly happy. I mean, each area I go to, I'm going to have to do a lot of major landscaping work, but it's not really going to be too major. That's sort of why I did this in the World Paint tool, just because it's it's so much easier than me having to make all this landscape up and seed it. And the great thing is I can actually put the biomes in with the World Paint, so this is going to be phenomenal. The only problem is that some of the areas that I did designate as areas that are like Arctic, they don't actually have the snow on the ground yet. I suspect once I start working in the area, it'll get hit with snowstorms and it'll start collecting. But I can always put that in after on my own. So yeah, so in each area I will kind of show you, like this is the area of the Arctic area. And you can see where the biome is sort of changed. It doesn't look great with this texture pack, but I don't like the whole biome change thing for the grass. That's just me. But then there's this raised up area here where I'm going to have a river. Because I want to have a huge waterfall, so I wanted it elevated. So right now there's not a river there, but if there's going to be, I'm going to have to do that by hand, unfortunately. Maybe not by hand, but it's most likely going to have to do it with the editor. And so when I get to this point here, the waterfall will come down. I'll do a lot of work there, because I'm going to make it more like a cliff. And it comes down to that island, basically the North City Island, where it's sort of like in the area controlled by goblins and stuff. And North City is supposed to be kind of like sort of an evil city also, but on the other side of the map. So I did do zoomed in views of all the maps and all the city names on that earlier video. I forget which episode that is. Episode 6 of this series. I don't know. So if you really want to know where the locations are, just might want to go back and rewatch that one. I'm showing you some of the zoomed in areas of the hand-drawn map I did of the old world. Um, so yeah, I'm having a lot of rendering issues that you'll see here. So this is just sort of that area in the far north and kind of northwest, I'd say. And going back up the river, well, the soon-to-be river area to show you the biggest mountain, that one I showed you earlier here. This is just the base of it. Now you watch it try to render in here. It takes forever. It basically just goes up to the sky limit. The sky limit now is what, 255 or something? It's huge. And I am going to come in on this one and actually put snow and like snow layers on it. But the whole northern border along the water basically is a huge mountain range. But the original map had a glacier there, so I may end up doing that manually at some point and just putting that in to the north of this mountain range. But right now it's just bordered by a coastline. It's all basically Arctic. And some of these mountains that tool made are just really epic. And it's gonna look a lot better when I go in and do a lot of touch-up work. And then I have an area here where it's gonna end up being a frozen kind of forest. It's gonna look kind of nice compared to the rest of the big forest where the elves live, which isn't in an Arctic environment. But the entire elven area is kind of surrounded by. This is sort of going into it right here. Trees are as far as the eyes can see, but surrounded by mountains. And you'll see, if you want to check back earlier with the map, it's just sort of like a road that splits it. And this area here where there's an island, and this is where basically where the city is going to be made, the high elf city. It's going to be really huge, kind of go around in a circle around this whole area. And it's like sort of like when I showed you that texture pack earlier. We're going to be using a lot of white and stuff there. Here's that road. Basically goes due west to the human lands. And so there's going to be a lot of design work along that road too. And then I decided to take a trip to the that big huge island that was all stone. Which I'm basically calling it the new evil land. It's going to get all evil and stuff. And there's going to be a big huge volcano on it. This isn't the volcano, strangely enough. It's just one of the huge mountains. And actually, this one probably has to be in the top 5 of how huge it is. But it's got a huge volcano in it, this particular landscape. I did draw, as you see here, some of that stuff with the cavern tool, but it didn't, not caverns, crevice tool that WorldPainter has. And it just didn't do really what I wanted it to do. So I don't think it breached the surface when I drew those rifts in the ground, which is fine. I can always manually do those. But this is the volcano here, and I've made this huge thing kind of sticking off of it. So you see as it comes with it goes into obsidian, and I'm going to build like a huge castle there, and that's going to probably be using those evil designed buildings we were doing several episodes ago. I haven't filled it in with lava yet, obviously, but I will come back and do that at some point. There'll be lava flowing down everywhere from that thing. It's going to look really awesome. But these evil lands are all stone and just kind of like a desolate land. And yeah, I'm going to have to fix the crevice stuff up there. Because I want some canyons and stuff in some of these areas, and some of the landscape looks a little boring. Needs to be broken up a little bit. And I need to do more stuff like that. This is going to be like where the port is coming into that the evil land, because it's completely surrounded by mountains, so the port city will be kind of important for it. I guess it'll be kind of like an evil port. I don't know how many cities I'll make on that island, but then here's that the desert is kind of in the southern part. Great thing about it is kind of seeded it with cactus and some of those dead shrubs and stuff. And there's also a jungle area too. This is the area kind of in between the desert and the jungle where the city of Omen will be. It's a pretty important city because it's kind of like at a crossroads where some of those different environments are So this is that the building I've been doing past several episodes. That will be moved to Omen. That's going to be the capital building of it. So you can see here the jungle renders it in. I basically painted the whole biome there and put in the trees with the paint tools, and we're almost out of footage here. So yeah, I wanted to keep this kind of short, but I did actually made an attempt at making a river, because this one actually was connected to sea level. It's a little bit weird with that tool, so I'm not quite sure how to make rivers raised up on the higher land. I sort of do that manually. But I did sort of the same thing I was going to do in the Arctic area, where there's kind of like a lake here, and then there's a raised up area, and I want to have a huge waterfall, kind of like what you see like in the Amazon. And so the river that's coming off it will come from this mountain here, as you're seeing, and we'll go down there. And then I put the Twin Cities. That's back where I started from, Pentheus, and I wanted them the whole point was that they have to sort of be rival cities, kind of like merchant cities that are within view of each other. So you can see they're sort of basically within view of each other. We'll go right across the two peninsulas that almost touch. So you can sort of see that off in the landscape there. And that's it. See you next time, folks. Adios.